Bhagavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Translation. Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's returning to his abode, and upon understanding the end of the Yadu dynasty's earthly manifestation, Maharaj Yudhishthir decided to go back home, back to Godhead.
So, hearing all the details, how Krishna has gone back to his abode, and how the Yadu dynasty was destroyed by fighting amongst themselves. So naturally, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very sober and very advanced. He thought what to do next. Everyone should think that the Yadu dynasty they belong directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nobody could conquer them, but still they were also finished by others could not conquer them, but they fought amongst themselves and were vanquished. So everyone should take care that after all we have to give up this body, estate, and whatever we possess, we have to give up. After giving up, what is next? We have to give up. That is a fact. If you don't give it up now, at the time of death, you must give it up, everything. Mrityu sarva harascha ham. You may try to keep in possession whatever you have got, but at the time of death, you have to give it up. By force it will be taken up. Everyone should think like that. That is soberness. One who is thinking that my family, my nation, my society, my bank balance, my skyscraper building, my motor cars, these will save me. That is not possible. That is not possible. That is the conclusion of the foolish person. Pramatta tasya nidhanam passannapi na pasyati. Those who are mad, they do not see that everything they possess will be vanished. It will not stay. He will be vanished, his body will be vanished, everything. Dehapatta kalatrajishu atma sanneshu asassu api. Asassu api. All these things are temporary. But I am eternal. They do not think very seriously that I am eternal and I am engaged with temporary things. You know, what is my eternal business? They do not know. That they do not know. This is called foolishness, mudha. But you are eternal. About you have heard from the Shastra and you are experiencing that I was a child, I was a boy, I was a young man. So my body, childhood body, boyhood body, youthhood body is gone. This body is not that body. Nobody can say. I've got a different body. But I know that I had a childhood body, I had a boyhood body, youthhood body. That I know. So I am eternal. And this body is not eternal, it is changing. It is a very simple thing. Why people cannot understand it? Very simple. Avinashi tu tadvidhi jena sarvamidam tatham antavatui me deha. This is the instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. This body is antavat. It will be finished. But that thing which is spreading all over the body, avinashi, that will not be annihilated. Avinashi tu tad vidhi jena sarvamidam tatham. That consciousness. The consciousness is spread all over the body. And Krishna says that that thing which is spread all over the body, consciousness, that is immortal. And now our consciousness is immortal consciousness or mortal consciousness. That is to be seen. I am absorbed in thought of this mortal consciousness. This is my country, this is my body, this is my family, this is my community, this is my nation. They are all mortal. But immortal consciousness is that I am Krishna's. That is immortal consciousness. Krishna is mine and I am Krishna's. This is immortal consciousness. When you come to this consciousness, that is called Krishna consciousness, then you are saved. Immortal consciousness. So long you have got temporary consciousness, then just like our mind changes. I accept something now, I reject something again. So this body is being manufactured according to the acceptance and rejection of my mind. The body is formed. Otherwise, why you have got different bodies? You are sitting here, so many boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's body will exactly tell with other body. No. Because the face is the index of mind. You have got different types of mind, therefore you have got different types of body. Not everyone's. So this is to be understood. Therefore Yudhishthira Maharaj, Sapathaya Matin Chakre, this is meditation, actually. What I am, where from I have come, I am eternal. Why my body is not eternal? I would have been very happy if my body would have been eternal, but that is not being possible. Everyone knows. But I desire that I may not die. My body may not be vanquished. That is my desire. But nobody is meditating upon this subject matter. They have learned some meditation, I do not know. What kind of meditation? This is meditation. Mating Chakre. Sapathaya Mating Chakre. Nibhrita Atma Yudhishthira. So, these things are to be solved. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, now he will retire. After this, they will give up the kingdom. Not that. This is the Vedic system. However rich you may be, however prosperous you may be, at your home or in your nation or in any way as you think, but you have to think that actually these things are temporary. I am eternal. So what is my eternal function? That is meditation. What is my eternal function? What is my eternal duty? Where is my eternal home? That is Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness movement is not ordinary movement, manufactured something for recreation. No. It is very serious science. Jadgatyana nivattante tadhama paramam mamo. We are searching after some permanent place, permanent settlement on the world. Nobody wants to die. But that is not possible. But if there is possibility of going somewhere where no more death, why don't you search after that? That is intelligence. That information there in the Bhagavad Gita. Abrahma bhuvanan lokan puraravartinojjalo. If you go to the topmost planet, which is known as Brahmaloka, now the Brahmaloka, the duration of life, you cannot calculate even their 1 day's time. That we are discussing this morning. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. There are 12 hours. Our 12 hours and their 12 hours different. There are 12 hours you cannot calculate. The 4,300,000 of years multiplied by 1,000. Now see how many years. That is the 12 hours. So leave 100 years there also. So even if you go there, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, or any planet, or any place, there must be death. Death you must have. But I am eternal. Why shall I accept death? That is intelligence. That information is given in Bhagavad Gita. Madhyamagatya punarjanma na vidyati. If you come to my place, my planet, then you will have no more to come back again to this mortal world. Madhyamagatya. Jadgatyana nivartanti tadhama paramam mama. Where going nobody returns. That is actually we want. In another place Krishna says, Takta dehang punarjanma naiti mamiti kaunteya. My dear Kaunteya John, Takta dehang, after giving up this body, punarjanma naiti, no more coming into the womb of material mother. Then what does he go? Mamiti. In this Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami stated that if you become perfect in Krishna consciousness, then immediately after death you will be sent where Krishna is having his pastimes within this material world. In the material world, just like the sun rotates, similarly Krishna's pastimes is going on. That is another feature of his activities. Because he wants to reclaim these fallen souls, and there are millions and trillions, unlimited fallen souls within this material world. So he goes everywhere. Yada yada dharmasya grani bhavati bharata tadatmanam sajamaham. As soon as there is discrepancies in the understanding of eternal life, he appears, he teaches. So Krishna is teaching somewhere. There are so many innumerable universes. Just like Krishna text appears as Janmashtami. In this universe, immediately in another universe there is Janmashtami. Immediately in another universe there is Janmashtami. So therefore it is called Nitya Lila. Nitya Lila means the Janmashtami is going on. His Govardhan Lila is going on. Everything what he displayed while he was present, that is going on. Just like the sun. Now it is 7:30. Now 6:30, there is somewhere. The 6:30, it is not that because the sun has passed 6:30 in this country, therefore there is no more 6:30. 6:30 is somewhere. Is it not? 6:30 is there. Similarly, it is not that because Krishna has now finished his Janmashtami, therefore no more Janmashtami. Janmashtami is going on. This is Krishna. So, Krishna is present. There are innumerable universes. In one of them he is always present. there is rotation. Just the sun rotates, morning to evening. Similarly, Krishna's Leela is going on. Just like something, a horse is passing before your eyes. You see the horse is passing through your windows, and then you do not see the horse. Does not mean the horse is finished. No. The horse is running. But when it comes before your window, you see. Similarly, Krishna's Leela pastime is going on. And when he appears here, exactly like the sun is always present, but the planet is rotating. So when it comes before your eyes, you see the sun. But if you do not see the sun, it does not mean the sun is finished. As formerly they used to think like that, the sun is dead. So, if you become perfect in Krishna consciousness, perfect in Krishna consciousness means no more material desire. That's all. Only Krishna. That is perfection. So long you'll have a pinch of material desire, you'll have to take birth. According to your desire, Krishna will give you facility. Why there are so many types of body, 8 million. Janga bapi smaranam bhavang tajatante kalavar sada tad bhava bhavita. We are making our next body by thinking of something. We have got so many thoughts, material thoughts. So at the time of death, when that thought is prominent, then I get the next moment, a body like that. So if you simply think of Krishna only, then you get a body by which you can go to Krishna. You can go to Krishna. Taktadi hang punarjanman. It is very scientific and very practical. So by going to Krishna, you can talk with Krishna personally, you can play with Krishna personally, you can dance with Krishna. That is Krishna Loka. Just like we have got a picture, Rasa dancing going, here is picture, Krishna's. Everyone can get this opportunity. Therefore Krishna comes to show practically how enjoyable life with Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna is simply jolly, anandamaya abhyasat. In Vrindavan life you'll see everyone is jolly. The birds, trees, and the water, the land, the cows, the calves, the inhabitants, the cowherd boys, everyone is happy simply by loving Krishna. Simply by loving Krishna. Krishna therefore manifests his Leela. That why you are rotting in this material world? Come to me and enjoy life eternally. That is Krishna. Witness. He is so kind. Jada jada hi dhamma saglari bhavati bharata. People when they become debauched to enjoy life in this material world. What is the enjoyment? The last enjoyment, their sex life. Is that very good enjoyment? But they have accepted. Jana maithunadi grihamedi sukham mitucham. Maithun means sex intercourse. That is their life and soul. They do not know, they have no information. That there is better pleasure, eternal pleasure. That they do not know. Therefore, there is need of Krishna consciousness movement to understand that. What is that? Nishamma Bhagavat Marga, the way of God. These rascals do not understand what is God, they do not know what is the feature of God, and still they will not accept this Krishna consciousness movement. We are giving, here is God, here is this form of God. He is so nice, he is so beautiful, his address is this, he can go there by this process. No, we don't want. Then what do you want? I want to become a pig. That's all. All right, you become sick. What can be done? And what shall I eat? I will eat stool. That's all. All right. Not prasadam? No. So what can you do? We are distributing your prasadam and he'll go to eat some rascal thing in the restaurant. You see? This is misfortune. Mandas mandamatayo mandabhagya jupadrita. Because unfortunate in this age, they will accept something wrong. Therefore our task is very responsible. We have to canvass, we have to plead, solicit. Please come here. Please come here in this temple and learn something. Thank you very much.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. Srila Prabhupada begins the class with explaining Yudhishthira Maharaj's mentality and thought after the battle of Kurukshetra. And at that time after the battle of Kurukshetra, all of Krishna's associates gradually concluded their earthly pastimes. So Srila Prabhupada explains that because no one could conquer the Yadus, Krishna arranged for the Yadus to conquer themselves and therefore plan and orchestrate their departure in a seemingly inconceivable way. And so therefore they fought amongst themselves and then vanquished. So then Srila Prabhupada draws on this principle that everyone at some point or another has to leave. And therefore everyone has to give up things. And if someone doesn't give up those things or is reluctant, hesitant, then Prabhupada is describing, then by force those things will be taken. Does anyone remember what kind of things Prabhupada mentioned that one must give up or otherwise will be taken by force? Yes, Dhamma. Yes, body and estate. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Body, estate, society, bank balance, skyscraper building, motor cars. And so because these things will be taken away by force, or one has to give up, then Srila Prabhupada describes that these things cannot save an individual. They cannot save. And thereafter Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse from the Bhagavatam, the 4th verse of the 1st chapter of the 2nd canto, which he repeatedly quotes throughout the class. Does anyone recall what that verse is? Yes, can we have the mic, please?
Dehapatya Kalatadish Atma Sainesha Satsapi Tesham pramatanitanam pashanapena pashyati.
Yes, thank you. So then Prabhupada goes on to describe how this body will not stay, the body will vanish. And he then goes on to speak about how these things are temporary, but actually one's identity is eternal. So therefore, naturally one can question that if I'm eternal and I'm engaged in temporary things, then what is actually my eternal engagement? What is my eternal business? And Srila Prabhupada discusses and describes that this thought process is actually meditation. It is Yudhishthira Maharaj's meditation. But he describes that this is a very simple thing to understand, and many people don't understand it, and that is foolish. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that as a young child, you have a certain body, and then the body grows older and it reaches the stage of boyhood, and then you reach the stage of youth, adolescence, etc. But that body that you had 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years ago is no longer present, and therefore that body is gone. It is no more. It is not existing anymore. And so then you are not the body, essentially. And so Srila Prabhupada is describing identity is eternal, but the body is temporary. And so he says it's a very simple thing to understand. And then he describes that he hints, he doesn't speak so much about it, but hints about the nature of the soul in the sense that the soul is all-pervading, and he uses this word avinashi tu tadvidhi.
What do you want me to say?
I heard some whisper of the verse, so if you would like, you can recite the verse.
Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartumarhatsi.
Yes.
Arhati.
Thank you, Prabhu. So yes, Srila Prabhupada is describing by quoting the Gita that this consciousness is spread all over the body. And he also describes this consciousness as immortal. So then Prabhupada goes on to describe the difference between mortal consciousness and immortal consciousness. And we see here also that many points are repeated, and this is a very common theme throughout Srila Prabhupada's classes and books also, but the idea of repetition is to remind us. So Prabhupada mentions that mortal consciousness means my country, body, family, community, and immortal consciousness means that I am Krishna's, and that is Krishna consciousness. And so then Srila Prabhupada goes on to describe how the change of body actually takes place. Does anyone remember the description that Srila Prabhupada gives in terms of how this happens? Yes, Bishop?
Whatever we think at the time of death, that will manifest our next body.
Yes, thank you. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that later on, that point comes later on in the class. But also before that, Srila Prabhupada mentions the function of the mind to accept and reject. And so Prabhupada mentions this body is being manufactured according to the acceptance and rejection of my mind. And therefore we see that different people have different bodies because they have different things that they accept and reject, the different things that the mind accepts and rejects. And so therefore there is no body that is identical. There's no body that is the same. And then Srila Prabhupada says that the face is the index of the mind. And by this saying, one can understand how no body is the same, because the face is different, because the mind is different because the mind is accepting and rejecting different things. So, and therefore, there's different types of different acceptance and rejection of the mind. Prabhupada described that. And so then Prabhupada goes on to mention about Maharaj Yudhishthira and how after the war he will retire and he will give up his kingdom. So maybe I'll pause here and see if anyone else has any reflections or particular points that they would like to share from the class, anything that stood out or would like to open for discussion. Yes, Eric Prue.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I would like to ask Srila Prabhupada mentioned also this point that we will return back to Krishna if we are 100% concerned about service to Krishna and we don't want anything material anymore. So I would like you to, if you could clarify what does it mean, because, yeah.
If anyone would like to, I can say something, but maybe if others also.
Maybe in this direction I was thinking, if I could add, that nowadays it's not anymore like so much distinct that if you're living in a temple or outside, so everyone is practicing. So maybe in this direction, if somebody is not living in a temple, I was thinking like how to distinguish if maybe this car is still in my service to Krishna, or it is like, you know, my attachment and so on. Maybe in this direction I was thinking, you know, how to be sure that this is, you know, not my desire.
In terms of what I recall from the class, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that perfection means no tinge of material desire. And if there is even a little tinge, the slightest tinge, then one has to come back. In terms of what desire is material and what desire is spiritual, Srila Rupa Goswami's 2 verses describing Yukta Vairagya come in mind, but I think it's up to one to introspect and seek guidance from senior devotees. Anyone else would like to add to that?
The purity of our desires means how much they are in line with the mission and the Guru Sadhu Shastra, to which degree is just for my sense gratification. But we can justify everything if we want to, even shastrically. But the downfall is in how much we are attached to that particular result when it comes, to which degree we actually utilizing it.
Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
I had a different question. I don't know if devotees still want to continue with the previous question. Something?
On the point where devotees living outside of the temple, and then how do they, shall we say, Krishna-ize their desires? one thing that I've heard and tried to meditate on is to see ourselves as the caretaker. So actually nothing is ours. We think it's our car, we think it's our bank balance, we think it's our family, our children, our wife, husband, like that. But actually nothing is ours. So when we recognize, first of all, that everything belongs to Krishna, and then we are the caretaker of that car, that bank balance, that house, etc., then that allows us to stay detached. And I'd even say, even as a brahmachari or somebody living in the temple, has to develop that mentality, because we still think, oh, these are my brahmachari clothes, dhoti, this is my toothbrush, this is my whatever it is. So that principle, whatever little thing even that we have, it should be, we should see it as Krishna's property and we're the caretaker. When we have that mentality, then that changes everything, because we're no longer in the center.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
This point of face is the index of the mind. How true this is, how accurate this is. And also, we hear other times Prabhupada says the difference between divine person and demoniac person is not necessarily physical differences in terms of their consciousness. The difference is whether they accept the word of God or line themselves up with the desire of God. So it's not necessarily that they look uglier or they have horns on their heads or something like that. So how to understand this? And how do we stop also being judgmental when we observe someone in terms of their face and so on?
Thank you for your question. Is a very valid question, and in the class, Srila Prabhupada doesn't really mention so much about it. He vaguely makes the point and then moves on. So also, I'll vaguely say something and try as much as I can. So my understanding is that Srila Prabhupada was trying to make the point that where does our next body come from and how does it come from? So the essence of the point was that the acceptance and rejection of the mind and the thoughts that we cultivate determine and form our future body. And so I think that's the main point that was trying to be made. But as far as the face is the index of the mind, as a saying goes, my understanding is like, if you're smiling, then it means there must be some happy thoughts in your mind. If you're not smiling, there must be some negative thoughts in your mind, or something along those lines, although that is a vague generalization. But yeah, I think the main point Srila Prabhupada was trying to make is how the next body is formed. And I think it's more for us to know about, okay, what body am I going to get, rather than trying to determine what other people and what their minds are going through and what body they're going to get. So I think that's what I understood, at least. Anshangaprabhu?
There's something called Samudrika Shastra, which is basically Anga of the Upaveda, and basically it speaks about physical features, basic palmistry is included there as well. And yes, the face is the index of the mind. Hare Krishna. So face is the index of the mind, but your consciousness is what you're going to do with that. Because the face, it's your karma from a previous life. So there's something that you received, but then the consciousness is how you're going to apply it. So you can be very attractive, but if you're going to be misusing that attractiveness, then that's misused samudrika. The lakshanas, or the indicators of your physical presence, are being misused. There's something wrong with this one. Hare Krishna. So there are two activities. There's the element of karma, which represents your lakshanas of your face, and there's the consciousness, how you're going to utilizing it. So you can be very wealthy, but you can be misusing that wealth with that negative consciousness that you accumulated now. Or you can be very poor and you can have very good consciousness. So there are two practical elements to this. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yes, Deepak Prabhu.
Just on the subject of face being the index of the mind, Srila Prabhupada also says that when he refers to his disciples, he said that before they came to Krishna consciousness, they looked, sad and dirty, but when they took up the process of Krishna consciousness, they became very bright-faced. So, and he also mentions that there can be a physical transformation just by practicing Krishna consciousness. There is that aspect to it as well.
Yes.
And also just on the point of having this tinge of material desire, it just reminded me of the letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to Jayananda, the posthumous letter, Jayananda Prabhu, where he says that if you have a pinch of material, you have gone back to Godhead, but if you had a pinch of material desire, then you will live for many, many years enjoying in the heavenly planets. And it just struck me that Jayananda Prabhu was the most surrendered soul, and yet Srila Prabhupada says that even if you have a pinch of material desire, then you have to take birth again, albeit in the heavenly planets. So
yes, thank you so much. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said that in this class, Krishna consciousness is not recreation, it is very serious. Does anyone remember what Srila Prabhupada said about Nitya Leela, how he defined it? He gave 3 examples. Yes, Kiran, if you could share just one example, and we can go around and see if anyone else remembers the other 2.
Like Janmashtami, he
Yes.
referred. That means Janmashtami is gone, Krishna is not here. That means Janmashtami happening everywhere, like different planets.
Okay.
That's Nitya Leela, Janmashtami and Govardhana Leela he mentioned.
Yes, Prabhupada mentions these 2 festivals. So, Prabhupada was... so Krishna's pastimes are taking place in one planet of the universe, and at the very next moment, Krishna's pastimes also taking place in another planet. Like
That's
that.
the horse example.
Yes.
And the sun example.
Only one, please.
Oh, sorry. I take it back.
Can you
Horse.
share? Can you explain the horse example, please?
Yeah, the window perspective.
Yes.
The horse will walk past. Doesn't mean the horse does not exist.
Yeah.
But during that time, you've seen the Leela.
Yes, exactly.
etc.
Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share? Yes, Prayojana Prabhu.
The first one's a quote by John Lennon. He says, "One thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside." And there's another one, a saying of Prabhupada, "Don't become proud of your borrowed feathers."
Yes, thank you. Does anyone remember the second example of that? Yes, Damodar Prabhu.
That's to do with the sun and then 6.
Yes, the sun and 6:30.
So it might be that the sun moves according to the different times, and then there will be 6:30 somewhere else.
Yes.
So
exactly.
Krishna's pastimes are somewhere else.
Yes.
As well.
Exactly. Just as sun and time are related, but as the sun and time goes on, 6:30 here, and then when it's 7 o'clock, it's 6:30 somewhere else in the world. Yes. And then anything? Yes, Jignesh Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for simplifying. Prabhupada mentioned this thing, even if we have like pinch of desire, then we have to take another birth. So, to my understanding, we have like 2 types of desire. First one is physical and second one is subtle. So physical desires, it's hard to get rid of it. but still to some extent we can work on it. But subtle desires, that's I don't know like how to get rid of subtle desires. I also heard from devotees that when we are in the dream, we have this all the visions and pictures that are our subtle desires. So how do we work on subtle desires? Is it like only because of Krishna's mercy we can get rid of it, or do we need to do anything from our side? You can explain it. Thank you so much.
Anyone have any thoughts?
That's my answer, both. God helps those who help themselves, so unless you put the effort in to constantly hear and spiritualize your consciousness, then, you know, Krishna may not give you as much mercy. That's my answer.
Damodar Prabhu.
Just from the nectar of devotion, when it talks about the different how our different actions manifest, and from subtle to gross. So originator is a subtle aspect, and then it manifests grossly. So by sadhana chanting, then we can actually get it at the root, where it's first subtle and then nullify it.
Yes, thank you. So you can also refer to NOI text date. Thank you. Any final points? I'm just conscious of time. Yes.
On this point where Srila Prabhupada says you have to be like Krishna consciousness, I remember my Guru Maharaj, is on Ashtapadaka Maharaj, he says, he was there and he said, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that point on the Vyasa-san one time, you have to be 100% Krishna conscious. And all the disciples were kind of like deflated. So then he saw the mood, and then he said, okay, 90% Krishna conscious. And then it didn't really have much effect. So then I think he says that he's walking down the Vyasa-san was actually high up, so he walked down the stairs, and then he looked and he said, okay, 80% Krishna conscious. And then as he was walking away, he flicked his chadar like this, you know, like Srila Prabhupada when he said, okay, 70% Krishna conscious. So in that sense, the question that was asked, like, you know, are we ever going to be totally free of our subtle desires? I don't know how realistic possible, especially in this day and age. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever gap is there, they will take us over that gap. That's my only hope.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Srila Prabhupada in many places mentions that the secret of success is pleasing the spiritual master, and therefore by his mercy we can make advancement. It wasn't NOI 8, it's actually NOI 7, where there's two words that come, Adarat and Anudinam, carefully and every day. So if we're attentive and regular, then that can very much help. I think it is 8:29. We shall conclude unless there are any final points. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.